Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Facebook Live edition of Med School Tutors. And tonight's session will be all about demystifying the personal statement. Just a brief introduction. My name is Brian Radvansky. I am a fourth-year anesthesia resident over at the Hospital University of Pennsylvania. I will be pursuing my fellowship in cardiothoracic anesthesia at my home institution next year. And along the way, for the last 3 years or so, I have been an avid supporter, contributor, employee, lover of Med School Tutors. Got my started with just tutoring proper, branched out into some of the consulting work, some of the podcasting, some of the blog writing, and now my very first Facebook Live. Excited to be here tonight, and we thank the Med School Tutor populace at large for joining us here. So, as I said, tonight's Facebook Live will be all about demystifying the personal statement. And we get asked a lot of questions about a lot of aspects of the personal statement. And it's probably one of the most taxing parts of the ERAS application altogether. It's one thing to just take your CV that you've been building all the way throughout med school and even college before that, get that information into your ERAS application. That's just the transfer of information. But the personal statement, this is when you sit there, you soul search, you comb through all of your experiences along the way, everything that you've been through, and in one page of prose, you try to translate that into what's going to make you a really great candidate for residency at a particular program. It's a big task that in and of itself is a very difficult thing to do, but it doesn't have to be. And one of the big things to realize out of the gates is that your personal statement in and of itself is not there to make you, but it has the potential to break you. What does that mean exactly? When it comes to writing your personal statement, this is not the time to reinvent the wheel. This is not the time to get super artsy or write in elaborate metaphors. This is the time to really just find a simple way to translate why you're great and let the residency program know that without too much fluff, without too much esoteric thinking. A great personal statement probably won't get you an interview that you would not have otherwise already received. A strange, off-color, and off-putting personal statement could be the thing that stands in the way of getting an interview at your desired residency program. So before you stress and you wring every ounce of yourself burnt out into the ground to try to craft an absolutely immaculate, perfect piece of prose, take a breath, slow down, and realize this is just you. This is your story. This is the story you've been living all throughout your life, and now it's just your time to tell it in a single page. So don't stress. Just be yourself. Get it from the mind onto the computer. So as we reached into our mailbag here at MST and tried to see what questions were coming up most from students asking about personal statement, one of the biggest ones, and maybe the most obvious ones, is what should I write about? What's my real goal in writing this personal statement? What am I hoping to convey? And our best advice here, the whole drive behind your personal statement, is differentiation. Sounds obvious, but let's take it a step further. What you're trying to do here is find something that when the admissions committee is talking about you, you somehow come out different from the other 85-90% of applicants who are just like you. When you think about why am I going to be great at this residency program, and you think about the other people that are applying to said residency program, for most intents and purposes, you're going to have a lot of similarities. You're likely members of the same interest groups of your particular specialty. You likely have volunteer experience. You've likely shadowed in your specialty. You probably have similar board scores to ones that typically match into that specialty. So you have to find something different from all that an admissions committee can say, oh, John Doe, I remember him. He was the paragliding guy. He was the professional chef who is now entering residency, who had that whole change of life, change of purpose sort of thing. So think what it is about you. What, insert your own personal experience, guy or girl you are. Some examples that we've had along the way, we've had people that have a past life on Wall Street. And so, oh, that was the guy who was an investment banker, and take the experiences that you have from that past experience, that past life, and say why it is you're going to be great at medicine, why you already are great at medicine, how you're going to carry those same goals throughout residency. I remember in writing my personal statement, I had taken 5 years off between college and med school and did soul searching and ended up working for an adventure company taking teenagers all around the country and globe for a period of time. And so I thought, let me translate that into being able to be on call, ready at a moment's notice, 24 hours a day. Certainly shows something for having experience in hard work. Communication, trying to rendezvous with all the different guides and leaders along the way, communicating with teenagers, communicating with their parents. Pretty much any experiences that you've had in the past, you can find a way, you can find parallels and analogies to tie them in to whatever residency, whatever specialty you're deciding to pursue. I remember reading a personal statement that was all about a student who was a member of the ERAS dance team, the Indian dance team at their school, and translated it into the combination of the right thinking and doing in mind and body as they themselves wanted to pursue anesthesia. We've had students that have done clinic work in Africa and talked about the experiences that they had there. So find, just to reiterate, something that you can insert the word, oh, he's the cook guy, she's the adventuring girl. Find something from your past, even if it's your past in college or medical school, volunteering, whatever it might be, that when the admissions committee is sitting around talking about you, they'll at least have something to ping to you to make you different from everybody else who is relatively similar to you. Okay. Next question that we have in the mailbag here is, should I make my statement totally personal and not let others get their hands in on this? Absolutely not. We want 100% of you to get some sort of help from people close to you. This can be from people that you know well, like family, like friends, like advisors and mentors. These can be people that don't know you so well that you just want, hey, don't sugarcoat this. Tell me if you're getting the message that I'm trying to send here. Often when we write these, we have some read between the lines message that we want to convey out there to the reader, and that can get lost as we don't go totally verbatim, totally boring, as we try to introduce a little creativity to this. So we want to make sure that a layperson that doesn't know us at all can read this and say, okay, I have a sense for who you are. You can post it on things like message boards, student doctor network. We here at MST are happy to look at personal statements and give you that objective view of things. As far as people close to you, these are going to be the people that know you best and can really say, you have juiced yourself, and that juice is right here into this piece of paper. You have communicated all that's great about you into this. You've sold yourself well. You've done it. At the very least, you want to have a third or fourth party take a look at this and make sure, hey, no spelling errors, no grammatical errors, your message is conveyed. I like you based on this piece of paper. I'd want you at my residency program. So, long and short of it, yes, get help, solicit it from others, no matter who. All right, next big thing here is, what story should I tell? My path has been boring and undifferent from others. This can be difficult if maybe you've had a late change of heart and you're about to pursue a specialty which you were not pursuing for your first 2.5, 3 years of medical school, and now you're making that last minute switch. Some people have not had as many experiences altogether. Maybe they found med school was taxing enough just getting by, getting through classes and board exams, that they weren't able to add those extracurricular activities to their CV. So the most important thing here in trying to tell a story is find a way to construct a narrative. You do want to have some sort of story arc, and try not to make this just a completely boring, hey, this is me. This is what I've done. I'm really great. Here's 15 adjectives why I'm great. I'm hardworking. I'm dependable. I show up on time. I write great notes. That's going to lose the interest of a reader pretty quickly. What you really want to do here is tell a story. And it doesn't have to be a big, convoluted, lots of character development story. You only have a page anyway. The story you want to tell here should follow some sort of story arc, where the beginning of your personal statement should have at least a little bit of something interesting to grab the reader's attention. So If you were in an absolute complete jam, you're staring there at a blank piece of paper and can't think of a single great thing you've done, you should at least be able to think of some clinical experience that has had an impact on you. Sometime when you were there with a patient and you said, I feel good about this experience. This is like in all those doctoring courses about being a human being, being humanistic, not worrying about differential diagnoses and textbooks and zebras and horses, but being like a good human soul, being a good doctor. That is a great place to start for your personal statement, for that story arc which you're looking to tell. And from there, just let the ideas flow. Why were you so great and humanistic? What was it about that experience that made that one surface to the top in all of your experiences throughout medical school and maybe even college up to this point? So definitely try to tell some sort of story. You can open up with that clinical experience, open up with something interesting to grab the reader's attention. Throughout the middle of this, that's where you want to start telling the story of why you're great, and we'll get to that a little more in depth a little later in the Facebook Live here. And then don't just bring that story in and then walk away from it. Say, hi, I got your attention. I'm going to do kind of a bait and switch. Now that I have your attention, just look at me and listen to why I'm great, and then not get back to that story. You definitely want to find a way to loop back to whatever story you're trying to tell. Make this a cohesive narrative. Make it a cohesive story of yourself. Okay. Next question we've got up here. I'm staring at a blank screen. Can you help me jumpstart this? Yes, we can. This is a very intimidating place to be. The hardest part, undoubtedly, is starting. Once you at least have a draft, even if that draft is total bunk and you're saying, oh, I don't feel good about this at all, you'll have some place to start. So when you're staring at that blank screen, here are some questions I recommend asking yourself, or even asking those around you, just to get some ideas flowing, to get something out of the brain onto the piece of paper and at least get some forward progress moving. First question is, what do my friends like about me? Or even what do I like about myself? And if you're scratching your head and you can't think of an answer to that, maybe you got to be a better friend. But in all seriousness, this is the time when you want to say, hey, why do people like me? What does make me special? Be honest with yourself and say, why should residency program X say, let's give this guy an interview. Let's see what this girl's all about. Are you a dependable friend? Are you a great listener? Are you somebody who always goes the extra mile? Are you somebody that would, no matter what experiences you've shared with somebody, always be there for them? Figure out what it is that people like about you and let a residency program know that. That'll at least give you some place to start. If you're having trouble with that one, you could think, what do attendings admire about me? Surely you have some mentor that you've met along the way, or just some attending, probably one of your letter of recommendation writers, who thinks, yeah, you're all right. And think what you might have done differently than the next student that makes you cause for recommendation. And again, that could be one particular clinical experience where they saw you shine. It can be because you're the first one there at the hospital and the last one to leave. It could be because you are having an easier time than the next person with getting through a rotation, and you're helping them out. You're saying, hey, George, let me take a look at your notes. I want to help you with these. You can also think about the residents that you really admire, the ones you aspire to be. And I'm sure everybody has crossed paths with residents like that, and you say, this resident, they have it all figured out. They somehow are able to get by. They write great notes. They are great teachers. They can do it all. They never seem frazzled, and they're happy. They are great to work with. All those wonderful things along the way. And think about what you love about them and what qualities you might share with them. What's going to make you a great resident when it's your turn up to bat? Okay, next question we have here is, people keep telling me show and don't tell. What does this really mean? When people say you have to show and not tell in the arena of what makes you special, what makes you great, the thing to do here is use concrete experiences, concrete examples from your past, from medical school, from college, from throughout your life, from any past life which you may have lived before you started the the physician route, and find a way to use those experiences to tell the story of why you're great, why you're special. If you just go ahead and list those 15 adjectives and say, oh, I would be great at your residency program because I am so hardworking. I am a great listener. I read every night. I excel at patient care. That tells your reader absolutely nothing. These are givens. These are things that you better be all those things, because otherwise you're not doing it right. You're in the wrong place. Those are the expectations. Those are the minimums that we're expecting from you. If you can demonstrate through your experiences, through things that you have on your CV, through things that have been meaningful to you, that you are hardworking, that you are a great listener, that you are going to be a great resident, those are the things that are going to be much more telling. Let me give you an example just so nothing is too nebulous here. If you were not only a member of the family medicine interest group, but let's say you were the president of the family medicine interest group, and you took enrollment from 7 students in your medical school to 15 students. You doubled the amount of people that were interested in family medicine. And you organized talks and brought in clinicians from around the area. And then you went one step further and you did a little research on your own and said how family medicine in itself is changing in the changing arena of healthcare. Now you've done way more than just been a participant. You've actually shown, hey, I'm hardworking. I'm doing more than the expected. I'm going out of my way to learn more about medicine. I'm doing more to share that with my peers. Let's say we can use another example here, that you went out of your way to hold a second job to either support family or pay loans or do something else during medical school. That certainly is not the expectation. So by doing so, you said, hey, I'm going one step further than the expectation. I'm going out of my way to do a little more. And that's why, that's an actual time when I was hardworking. If you had a particular trauma scenario, let's say you were post-call, you've already been there for 26 hours and now a trauma comes in and you have every right to say, hey, my shift's done, guys, this one's on you. But you could tell that this new team is going to need another set of hands. Maybe that's the story that you tell, maybe that's your narrative, and that's an actual time, an actual concrete example of you being hardworking. If you are the secretary or treasurer of interest group or any group in medical school, you say, hey, I am totally organized. I have kept track of dues and enrollment and meeting attendance for 136 students, or of this many student council members. Just more concrete examples that you actually point to instead of just saying, oh yeah, I'm an organized person. You gotta believe me. Please believe me. Come on. Show the experiences, and that's gonna go way further. Okay, we have time for a couple more questions from our list here. Next one up, we have in our mailbag. Should I include at the end what I'm looking for in a residency program? Now, this is one that the crowd is very divided on. My advice here is you can certainly include what you're looking for in a residency program if you find that it flows into the story that you're telling. If you have 80% of your personal statement and it is that beautiful story arc, you kind of close things up, and then you say, I'm going to use the obligatory 5 lines at the end of this page and say, I'm looking for a residency program where I'm going to be challenged and get the absolute best training, and I'm going to perform in a congenial environment in an academic institution. You've said nothing there. You've kind of wasted that space. You had a complete story, and now you just said, oh crap, I'm running out of room here. Let me just squeeze in some things at the end here which say, oh yeah, I want a great residency program and I think yours is the one, so pick me. It's almost like a desperation move. That said, if you have a really particular interest that deviates from the norm of all those things that everybody out there is looking for, like challenges in residency, you want to graduate from residency, being prepared for anything, those are obvious. You don't have to go out and say them. But let's say you are applying to emergency medicine and you want to be that emergency medicine doctor who is in rural Wyoming, the only doctor in a 100-mile radius who is doing small surgical procedures, who is delivering babies, who is almost serving as everything from primary care to absolutely devastating traumas in that rural setting. And that's different than the norm. That can definitely be something that you can convey anywhere in your personal statement. And hopefully you can tie that into the story that you're telling. If you find that it doesn't fit and you're just kind of searching for some adjectives which describe every residency and squeezing that in at the end here, no need to squeeze it in. So I think we've covered just about all of our most popular questions here. And I'm just going to go to the live chat here and see if any new questions have come in. But I think from everything that's come our way, we have answered them in full. So a couple resources before we go. If you go to the Med School Tutors blog and have a look, you'll find this is something that we love to write about. So feel free to peruse the articles. You'll see some of the information that I've shared with you here today, as well as some deeper thinking on that, and that'll be there forever, as will this Facebook Live. So you can always rewatch this at any time for some advice, some guidance on how to get the thoughts in your head out there onto paper. If I could leave you with one parting thought, maybe a parting thought and a half, just to kind of reiterate some of the things that we talked about today, don't overstress on this. While it is your one chance to really, in a piece of prose, say who you are without bullet pointed lines, without numbers and scores and honors and passes and all that, this is not going to be the thing that prevents you from getting an interview, as long as you're not writing something that's totally kooky and strange. As long as you have some story to tell, and hopefully over the last 4, 8, 10 years, there's something that you can share about yourself, which will show that you're going to be great at residency, that a program is going to want you. Just tell that story. It shouldn't be hard. Talk about yourself, because nobody knows yourself better than you do. Don't stress. Find a way to make yourself different from the myriad people that are all applying to the same position as you are. You are special. It's just a matter of letting the right people know it and why. Have a good time with it. Hopefully you found this fruitful, engaging, enjoyable, and feel free to ask us any questions. We are open 24/7, 365 throughout eternity. Thanks for joining us tonight, everybody. Signing off. Have a wonderful day and night.